Chapter 239 to 240, Prologue and End. The kids easily used transference on their warframes, their bodies entering the pocket space while their mids entered the metal puppets. Actually, is it metal? It's technically a fusion of organic material and metal. I think they called it some fancy name, but sword steel was the common name. Anyways, they wanted to blow shit up, so other Rimuru dragged him into his ID to go wild. The empty royal capital was literally razed to the ground. Rimuru. Other Rimuru, cough. Other Rimuru coughs, causing him to expel some dust from his mouth. Did I mention that we didn't even have time to get out of the blast radius? Now we're both covered in dust. It's not a light covering either, I'm saying there's a mound of dust pushing up against our bodies up to our necks. Rimuru. In hindsight, maybe giving them overpowered weapons without putting any limits on them wasn't the best idea. Other Rimuru. You think? And so, we just stood there, watching as the city around us fell into rubble. Fireballs, boulders, energy swords, all kinds of attacks are being thrown around in reckless abandon. I'm surprised to see Chloe, one of the more responsible of the group, being the one who's doing the most damage. Excalibur really is powerful, huh? Just a wave of its exalted blade is enough to destroy several buildings one after the other. Anyways, that happened. After an hour or two, I teleported out of the dirt mound and stopped the kids from continuing their rampage. Other Rimuru took all of us out, and I decided it was time for me to go. Other Rimuru decided to stay with the kids and look over them. You know, so they don't destroy the city while throwing a tantrum about homework. I gave Other Rimuru an infinite magicule meat bun that'll give him infinite magicules for a short moment, telling him to name seal and dump as many magicules as he can into it. And he did it right on the spot. Thank God for my quick thinking in setting up a barrier, or else powerhouses all around the world would sense what was going on. And he named Raphael as seal, turning it into a Manus. With the magicules pumped into it, it immediately gained a body of its own. Seal Rimuru-sama. She is a beauty with pink hair. Rimuru, nope. I ain't dealing with this. Pink hair is a sign. Never mess with women with pink hair. A/N, for those who don't get it, pink hair and Yandere used to go hand in hand. Not sure how it's like now, but that's how it used to be. I teleport away after saying my quick goodbyes. After saying goodbye to everyone else including Veldora, it was time to go home. I grabbed Ilya and Mikoto and left. Third-person POV. What Rimuru didn't know was that his actions caused lots of things to change. Through his intervention, a lot more bullshit happened. There was an experiment failure that released a near-immortal monster that evolves infinitely. Yuki got desperate when he got cornered by other Rimuru and nearly destroyed the world system somehow, and due to the universe's movement within the void, it collided into an eldritch universe which brought about an extra-dimensional invasion by fucking elder gods. But with the powers of plot armor, anime bullshit, nakamas, and a whole lot of meat buns, everything turned out alright and Rimuru became much stronger than in the original series. MC POV. Rimuru and we're back. We exit the void and step into Avalon. Hang on, this isn't Avalon. The figure that just so happened to be standing in front of us notices us and turns to face us. He has blue hair, and his face is exactly the same as mine, so I know he's Rimuru. Or at least, a Rimuru. But this man is over 3 meters tall and has a gigachad body filled with muscles. With his androgynous face, this is just creepy. Rimuru, fuck, sorry, wrong world. I turn around and walk back into the void, quickly taking Ilya and Mikoto with me. Fuck that world. A few minutes later, we arrive home. Years have passed. Wait, years. Author. The fuck are you doing? A/N, I'm finishing up the story. Oh, that's why. Anyways, years have passed. Lots of things happened, obviously. I mean, I would be pretty worried if not many things happened after an entire decade. As expected, Avalon's fame quickly spread across the world. Many people traveled from all over the continent to visit the ever-distant utopia. The city became a place of dreams and miracles. Highly advanced technology, both magical and scientific, an incredibly potent military might, culture from across multiple worlds, courtesy of the library, and so much more. The common folk call this place the land of dreams. I actually had to expand the size of the city multiple times with spatial runes. Most importantly though is the Tower of Babel, or to be more specific, the dungeon. A figurative gold mine with next to no risk whatsoever courtesy of the rather cheap resurrection bracelets. Adventurers from all around the world, both famous and obscure, rushed to the dungeon to try their hands at it. At first, it wasn't very easy. Fighting in the dungeon is completely different from fighting on the surface against wild natural monsters like normal adventurers are used to. But after some trial and error, people began to quickly find tips and tricks to descending the floors quickly. Like maps. Yes, they didn't think to use fucking maps during the first few dozen dungeon runs. Disregarding them. The majority of the adventurers could only find it in themselves to reach floor 18 as floor 19 has a jump in monster spawns and difficulty. Rank B and above could handle it quite easily. If you're with a party, then that's even better. You can expect to hit floor 50 with a decent party. A rank adventurers could hit floor 50 or 60 by themselves and floor 80 if they're in a party. The strongest of the strong A rank parties could even hit floor 100. As an aside, the record for the lowest floor reached solo is by an adventurer who is wielding a familiar black sword. It's a guy who picked up greed from the 18th floor. Thankfully, he's not an insufferable idiot. Although he's on a wild goose chase trying to find out who the fuck made greed. He'll never know. His record is the 91st floor, by the way. He's pretty famous. Of course, this is excluding monsters, not in the literal sense of the word. I'm talking about people like Hinata, people who have breached the realm of normal. She reached floor 131 on her first try and successfully became a true hero with a little help on my end. After that, she continued to push her record. As an aside, Malim reached floor 152. Don't get me wrong, she could theoretically complete the dungeon if she played things perfectly and used Enkidu, but... Well, you see, there's this little trap you can find on every floor. It's called a treasure chest mimic. I'm sure you know what it does. You can find it on every floor along with ordinary treasure chests. It also has a neat little gimmick where it doesn't matter how much damage you take from a mimic, if you get hit, or in this case, bitten, you will be sent straight to the surface. Because of that, the mimic has become the most hated monster in the dungeon along with Adelman and his skeletons. It's normal to test each chest for traps, right? Wrong. Malim falls for those suckers. Every single time. Her record of floor 152 was only achieved because she went 152 floors without meeting any mimics. There was one time she died to a mimic on floor 5. I've never seen Ramiris laugh that hard before. Mikoto cleared the dungeon on her third run. Her first 2 runs were unfortunate. I think she might hate mimics the most out of everyone in the entire city. Anyway, the dungeon is super popular. Even Guy Crimson tried it when he visited out of curiosity. He nearly completed it too, but he gave up on floor 200, the Storm True Dragon Volofus boss room. Don't get me wrong, he didn't fight and lose, he just didn't get the chance to fight in the first place. He took his longtime friend and companion, Velzard, the White Ice Dragon aka Veldora/Volofus' older sister. The moment Velzard's eyes landed on Volofus for the first time, she ran forward and pampered her like no tomorrow. She was able to dissuade Guy from fighting Volofus, all the while hugging the latter like a doll. Thus, Guy had to give up in the end. Honestly, it would have been a tough fight. Volofus is tougher than Veldora and most likely even Velzard and Velgrind courtesy of her meat bun diet. Truly, she is the most worthy of the floor 200 boss. As an aside, no, Mikoto didn't kill Volofus to complete the dungeon. She just gave Volofus a meat bun and said, "I'll give you more if you surrender." I think you all know the result. Anyway, that's the dungeon. Within the first few years of the 10-year time skip, the Eastern Empire invaded and the angels descended for the Tenma War immediately after. Needless to say, I easily dealt with them. For the Empire, I made giant meat bun Gundam Sand had them surround their borders, preventing them from leaving. I know, it's overkill. But I'm not changing it, so that's that. A few years of them trying everything went by, from sending armies at the meat bun Gundams to even throwing Velgrind, the Scorched Dragon aka Veldora/Volofus' other older sister. Nothing worked. In the end, I made a deal with their emperor. Stop the little game you're playing with Guy, cease your thirst for world conquest, and be satisfied with your lands. I was pretty badass then, not gonna lie. He didn't really have a choice, but he was a former hero, one of the greatest in history, so he obviously didn't give up. It was only recently, a few months ago in fact, that he finally gave up and heeded my advice. I gave him a meat bun which restored his soul that was worn down from his many reincarnations. Now, the Emperor aka Rudra Nam ul Nazca, mouthful of a name, and Velgrind visit every couple of weeks or so. Most of the time, it's at the behest of Velgrind. Volofus claims another Wanisan's heart, it seems. Guy and Rudra meet every now and again too, which is good. Now, they compete on who reaches floor 200 the fastest. As for the Tenma War, I just threw a meat bun into heaven. I don't know what happened after that. It could have exploded, wiping out the entire realm, or it could have pacified the entire angel race. I don't know. Meat buns work in mysterious ways. Oh yeah, I also opened up a massive, permanent portal to other Rimura's world, and we made an interdimensional treaty, so there's that. It was pretty funny, seeing everyone meeting their counterparts. Mikoto and I got married, finally. She grew up into a beautiful woman 26 years of age. Her chest didn't grow, however. Don't misunderstand, with her spiritual body, she can control what she looks like to a certain degree. If she wanted, she could have G-cup breasts. But, well. I may or may not have gained a fetish for modest breasts during the years. I can't help it. I have hanky-panky with Mikoto every day. And every time is euphoric. So yeah, I like modest breasts now. Anyways, the wedding. It was massive, obviously. We had a big official wedding spanning the entire world and even a little of other Rimura's world. We then had a smaller wedding where only everyone close to us was invited. Mikoto and I considered this wedding to be the official one. Although we had alcohol shortages for a few weeks after that. I wonder why. A/N, the girls were drowning their sorrows in alcohol, obviously. Seriously. They were. A/N, yeah man. You're pretty dense. Fuck you. You wrote me this way. A/N, yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. Slides on deal with it glasses. Sigh. A/N. A/N. So. Yeah. This is it, huh? A/N, yeah. Fanfic is ending here. Huh, it felt so long. And yet. A/N, yeah, so long, and yet, it feels like yesterday when I wrote chapter 1. Yeah, so long, and yet, so short. So fucking weird. A/N. A/N, well, I'll head off now. Already? Not even an extra chapter. A/N, nah. I've had enough. I can't really milk this story for anything else, I've been seriously losing motivation during the last few chapters. Yeah, now that you mention it, things were a little rushed. A/N, yeah. Thankfully, my motivation came back during this final chapter. I guess it's because I can just push all my ideas without having to worry about lots of things like character interactions, the timeline, plot, pacing, and shit like that. Damn, writing is hard, huh? A/N, I wouldn't say hard. It depends. Sometimes, like right now, my words just flow out of me. Other times, I can sit there for minutes without a single word being written before I get distracted and watch YouTube or read other fanfics. Wow, that sounds complicated. A/N, it kinda is. So, are you writing anything after this? A/N, I don't know. I probably will, but definitely not anytime soon. It could be a week, maybe a month, maybe even a year. Who knows, I might never get back to writing. Sounds kinda bleak. A/N, it is, man, it is. Well, I guess I should thank you for writing my story. A/N, nah, it was my pleasure. I'm sure the readers really enjoyed it too. Yeah, thank you too, readers, for following along with my journey filled with bullshittery and crappy references. A/N, oi. I'm the one who wrote those references. Thank you to everyone who dropped a comment on the latest chapters. A/N, yeah, honestly, those comments were really motivational. Sometimes, I wanted to take a break, sometimes permanently, but reading those comments made me think, maybe just one more chapter. Which continued until now. Really, thank you all, it's been an enjoyable ride. And, Fin. End stats. Name, Rimuru. Race, meat bun slime. Protection, crest of space. Title, too many for the author to bother putting them in. Codex, Iliasville. Ma, E-Skills, meat bun Arobi, god of everything. Equipment, Yamato, Genesis.